So, I am here, I've decided to do DMT. Hold on. Trying to make sure this, I got some traditional shamanic Amazonian music going on here. I don't think it's going to be picking it up too much. But yeah, I've had this DMT actually for 4 years now. I got it during COVID, and it was my only time doing DMT, and I don't know if it's still good. That is the big question. This might be a complete dud. I might end up in the fucking ER, I don't know. But I've been waiting for like the perfect time to do this shit, and I'm just like, there is no perfect time. There really is not. It's something you gotta prepare for and always just be ready for, because when it's time, you'll fucking know it's time. And you just gotta say yes to it. So, what's kind of made it pressing right now is really just this song I'm working on. It's about a very personal mental health investigation, if you will. And I'm feeling like I want to deal with the thing that is being talked about in the song. It's essentially about a overlord controller of your mental kingdom, and that's something that I've felt my whole life. Like things will be going well, and with relationships and people around me, and then all of a sudden everything will change in my head, and I will think everyone's out to get me and plotting against me, and I tend to sabotage myself because I'm projecting these things onto them. And so what I've done in the song is take that mental illness. It's, to me, feels very similar to like BPD, and I think that I've gotten better with it, but it's still definitely a problem, and I just want to confront that being in my own head, and that's kind of what the intention is of this. I'm not doing some sort of elaborate shit. It's just like I've been working on this for a long time, so I know where I want to go with it. And if I end up going somewhere else, that's completely fine. I'm just doing my best here to document the process. And so what I'm doing here is I've got some Blue Lotus, and that is just simply because I cannot find the bowl that I was intending to smoke out of. So I'm going to be using a really cheap gas station type of a pipe, and has a giant hole in the bottom. So I'm just going to try to smoke this Blue Lotus to kind of build up a layer on the bottom so that I can pack the DMT or Chaga. It's Chaga, 4-year-old Chaga. So yeah, that's essentially my plan. I'm going to pause this and go handle that real quick. Alright, so we've got the deed done. The Blue Lotus has been smoked, and I think that I've got a nice little layer here to build up. This is not how you typically recommend doing DMT. You're more so supposed to get as much as you absolutely possibly can, especially when it's not 4 years old. So I think that I can actually fit all of what I have left into this bowl though, and that is my goal. And then essentially I'm just going to smoke it as hard and fast as possible. And that really is the name of the game with DMT. It's not something you want to sip on like a fucking Arizona tea. It's something you want to just, slam down real quick. I'm very curious because my last DMT experience, I'm just trying to get this out of the bag and get it set up here. My last experience was very, very profound. And I purposefully was trying to stay in the liminal space between what you call the DMT realm and, I guess, reality. Because I was actually trying to do something like what I'm doing now. But I was actually just sitting there, like, telling the people that I was in the in-between. I was hoping that they would ask me some questions, but that never happened, so I was just kind of like, I should have smoked more. But, the gist of the whole thing was, basically, I'm supposed to be on this earth, and I'm not really supposed to just blast off yet into the stars, because I have work to do here or whatever, that spiritual bullshit. But yeah, it did very much feel as though there was another intelligence, another mode of operating that's outside of our conscious ability to see. And once I was tapped into that, all the weird mysteries of the earth started to make sense to me in that moment. Like the pyramids, like this shamanic music you're hearing, all these ancient symbols, it's all describing this realm of existence that is co-inhabiting with us, as seen from the mind of God, or whatever. And so that was extremely fascinating to me. It felt like a reminder, like some part of me knew this, like maybe in a past life, I don't know, whatever. But at one point it felt like there was a surgeon that was like doing an operation on me. And I remember just kind of seeing that, and it felt like I was breaking through. And then I remember consciously being like, no, I'm not going to break through right now. It's not time. In 4 years from now, it's not. No, I'm just kidding. But the difference now is I am going to try to break through. I'm going to try to smoke as much of this shit as I can. Because that is the real way to do it. So I'm just killing time as I struggle to get this bag, get this shit packed up, you know what I mean? Beautiful, beautiful chaga. I'm trying to be careful too so I don't spill it or waste it. But yeah, I decided that documenting this, I'm not really expecting to get much, because it's more of an internal visual thing. But this is more for reflection and note-taking and reminding myself of the things that I might have seen or something. So I'm going to attempt to articulate this journey, but I'm not going to let that interfere with the journey itself, because that's what matters. So this is exciting stuff, dude. Hopefully I don't become too enlightened so that I have to give up my good, my bad habits, in other words, because shit, I like that shit. You don't want to fucking go too far. Okay, so I've got this shit packed up right here. And this is the part where I'm gonna just tune out, try to tap into this music, do some breath work, And then when I feel ready, I'm gonna blast off. Try to, this is the time when if you do have an intention, you do want to kind of focus on that, bring it into mind so that it's fresh on the press. So I'm just going to tune out here. Make sure your fucking lighter works. You don't want to get caught fucking half hit and have a lighter that's flicking out. Just less attachment to yourself. That's the state you're trying to get into. Can't go very far if you're stuck with emotions, with thoughts, with identity. May this experience be beneficial and informative. May I get out of the way to receive. May there be less of me in general. May I have the words to express. May these feelings stay. And may I not revert to old ways. Well, so far it's being shown that this stuff is no good. About to smoke the fucking aluminum off of this pipe. It's really interesting. It's like my whole body is fucking jello. It's like I could just fucking fall asleep right now. And I feel light, like I'm floating. Hold on, I'm gonna try to fucking hit this shit one more time. Yeah, I feel fucking great. But I can feel a disconnect from my body. I'm just looking at these trees outside. Other languages are so beautiful, man. It almost sounds Hawaiian in the way that they enunciate things, but it's got its own unique little flavor. Whereas I feel the English language is just so sharp and sloppy. It's not as easy to write in that lyrical sense. But yeah, anyways, back to the DMT. I'm learning something here. Is that if you leave DMT for 4 years, it's going to lose that potency, and it just might be just the natural changing of the dimethyltryptamine. It was also mixed, and I don't know exactly with what, but I think that is what the body high I'm feeling is. is I'm still feeling very much that body high. It's just without the DMT. There was about a 3-second interval, and I was looking at these trees out here, where I did sort of feel like I was going somewhere. But then I quickly resorted back, and that got me thinking of the observer effect. Because in this sort of setting with this microphone open, it's kind of funny because you're almost putting a third perspective on things, which might change the outcome, which is kind of fascinating to me. But I don't think that's the reason. I think this shit just dried up. But you know, these experiences you can cultivate. What's really important is the meditation. And that's what everything points back to at the end of the day. Can you detach from who you are and your story? And then the flavor on top of that is, can you find something else out and begin to see from a different perspective, or the third eye, or the eye of God, whatever. And those are the visionary quests that shamans venture into in order to bring back wisdom and guidance for the people that are not tapped into that source. Is the best that I could articulate it. And that's why throughout history people like Moses, Christ, Muhammad, Buddha, these people were tapped into source. And we shouldn't take that as stigma. We shouldn't denigrate the things that have been brought back, because that's a blessing to humanity. Now, it doesn't mean everyone's going to be right, but oh man, it's a tough one. I think a big problem with religion and culture is that a lot of these people are reaching that enlightenment, but they're coming through a lens of the culture in which they were brought up, raised, and so it kind of thwarts the image in the present to a small degree, but particularly in the future, once these writings begin to be interpreted with all the stupid beliefs that people have about morality and what is sinful, fucking dumb, but you begin to interpret this natural given message and you begin to think through the lens of your culture and identity. And then throughout the years, the power dynamic comes in and tries to take that message and thwart it into a way that they can use it for themselves, i.e. the Catholic Church, i.e. the American government now, for some degrees using the whole Christian ideology as a means of tricking people into their holy wars and to gain supporters. I'm happy that something's coming out of this. It's very strange. It's like the mildest tingle of it in the room. But that story, that connection to what's going on, is what is so important in a culture, in a society, because if we lose that, we are godless and we're operating out of our animal instincts. And so it's actually the most important thing, which is why in ancient civilizations, perhaps, the elite would partake in different means to alter their consciousness and whatnot. And you start thinking back on those cultures and you realize that we're all just people. And there's not that much difference in intelligence. And of course, learning how to think plays a big part in how far you can go intellectually. But for these people, these tribes, and ancient societies where there wasn't so much access to information, you don't even have to go back far at all for that. But when there's less access to information, you're going to be drawn into what is around you. And particularly with these shamanic Amazonian cultures, a lot of that time and investigation was into Mother Ayahuasca. And so of course they're going to have a blueprint, and they're going to be much smarter and knowledgeable in a certain domain that all of society is not privy to. And so their intelligence in that respect is just as widely important as some doctor who works at Harvard. And I think that maybe if I can try to find the message, I think there's a lot of sadness right now, in the indigenous populations, because, oh man, I don't know how to say this without it sounding all fucked, but the modernization and colonialism, taking away all the stigmas and all that, and all the arguments and all that shit, what it essentially is a strange obsession with the exponential growth of anything, of your culture, of your society, it's the obsession with that. And so when you have a society in which we live in now that is completely obsessed with that is the god of modern society, is just advancement. And so it's like, what are we actually run on right now? What is governing us right now? And it's mania, essentially. And so we are worshiping the gods of mania, in other words. And I think that the sadness comes in from what's also very sad is these indigenous people that, because of socioeconomic situations, have to let go of these practices and let go of their homeland and then move and be indoctrinated into modern society. And what's sad about that is that they lose what it is, all the progress that they were making in their investigations and whatnot. And so these people that are putting up the good fight of holding on to that shamanic tradition, they have a shred of information that may be super beneficial to all of society. And I think it's great that there's a renaissance happening in that regard, and I'm all about it. So I think that we need to get that message more acceptable and more like that needs to be on social media. What the fuck is, what kind of trips are being had? There needs to be a whole fucking YouTube channel for that, just like the news, but for like trips. And I don't know, it makes me sad with what's going on with AI, that things are advancing at such a startling speed. It's like you can't even take a breath now. And I just wish I had more time with that real shit. And so I do feel very plugged into the matrix. And like I'm going to have to be with business. And there's a big part of me that just wants to throw all that shit away. But my phone rings and I ignore it. Another fucking distraction. The world is so loud, and the sadness is that these cultures wish that the general population could see what they were seeing, in other words. And they want to share that. And I think that Mother Ayahuasca, Mother Nature, whatever goddess of the earth, or whatever you believe in, that's a real thing. And I think she's sad right now. I think she's really sad with the way that things are progressing. And you can almost hear that sadness coming through in these music. And it's like crying out to just like, let's get our shit together. If we are all same part of the tree of life, then why are we all attacking each other? Why are we all seeing the world from a differentiated, fuck that word, perspective instead of a totality perspective? And so it's like a mother who has a bunch of children that are fighting each other all the time. She's like, why can't we all just get along and love each other, have a great family? It's like, why do we have to go and create new phones and buy new phones and buy new cars and look a certain way on Instagram and work out and be really cool and make cool stuff and be somebody and have interesting talk? Why are we doing all that? And we're forgetting to the message of totality, which is we're all in this fucking boat together moving along here. And it's in our general interest to take care of each other, to help each other. And that's what it's all about, and that's what God is. Let's all take care of each other. We are all one. Let's move together and put away all the bullshit. And so in summation, I would say any practice that gives you a sense of that perspective should be at the forefront of any society. And it just might make things much healthier. If we started worshiping better gods, we might realize that we need to stop a lot of things right now and come together. And what makes you sad is you don't see a reality in which that happens because of human nature. Now my question is that just brainwashing by the natural governing of the world, or whatever strange parasite humanity has been infected with? Is that a governing ideology that we need to break out of, that things cannot get better? And maybe that's what freedom and anarchy is now, is having faith that things can get better and that we can bring about that better world. And I think that having maybe that's just the radical belief that we need to believe is possible until we can change the status quo of people saying that shit's just gonna go to shit forever. It's a war on beliefs, because belief governs reality. I think that's all I'll say. That was a lot of fun. That was a very flow state, very big, flowy type of a feeling there. And I like that, honestly, a lot. So I think I was tapped into something, man, but a lot of that shit was coming through, man. It was coming through. I wasn't there for a lot of that. And so that's fascinating. I think it definitely had. I was tapped into that universe, but it felt very earthy and very grounded. But those thoughts, man, were just flowing. That's what it's about, man. Let the thoughts fucking flow. Don't care what fucking people think. I just wanted to add, it's been a while here now, back in the real world, trying to, not that I was really anywhere else, but whatever. I think in terms, obviously I went in a completely different direction than my intention with that song and all that. That was nowhere to be found. And I've been sitting with that like, what happened here? Even though obviously I wasn't really didn't really do DMT, but it was very much still a trip, especially with the Blue Lotus. And I think maybe it might have been mostly the Blue Lotus, I don't know. But I think what I'm realizing how it ties in is like all that egoic mind games. If you're not tapped into source and truth, you're always going to be in a feedback loop of yourself. And so maybe this whole battle between light and dark in this inner landscape that I'm trying to describe in this song, perhaps it's just a lack of the sun and source lighting the battlefield and realizing that both sides are of the same body or whatever, which actually is interesting now. I'm realizing relates back to what I was saying about Mother Ayahuasca, showing the people that we are all fighting each other and attacking ourselves. And so that actually, in a grand schemes, ties in to the narrative of this song about the two opposing forces that are actually part of the same thing. And so maybe realizing source consciousness or seeing from that heightened perspective is what's needed to dispel the illusions of self, which we all have. And so, that's taking more of the spiritual perspective of tying that into mental health and all that, which, is very important too. And to me, it's all one and the same. But I think that's what I'm learning here, is that with the lack of third perspective, you're going to attack yourself and be at war with yourself. And so that is in the next coming song, as things progress and resolve. I think that I have more clarity into how to make that a more grandiose spectacle. But this is just essentially setting the stage. And, gonzo shit. Keep investigating. Keep making shit. Keep making art. Describing. That's it.